the risk of dating myself a little bit, I'd like to make a reference to popular culture. How many of you have seen the film Princess Bride? Oh, we got a lot more hands than I thought we would. That's wonderful. In that film, you might recall there was a character who, his tagline, the word that he said repeatedly throughout the movie was that whatever someone said was inconceivable. Does that sound familiar? When we talk about zero waste, the thought of zero, absolute zero in waste, is such a concept, is such a construct for us that it seems inconceivable. So what I want to do for us today is take us right here to Grand Rapids, talk about zero waste, a future for us here in our community, and how we can manage to get to that goal of absolute zero and what it's going to look like along the way. I've highlighted here that I'm going to talk about the tools that we have and the tools that we need. One of the first tools that we have is all the people in this room. Just the sheer number of individuals who come here interested in learning more about sustainability. That factor, the factor of human beings, that we're not only the ones who have created the problem, but also are part of the solution, is one of the things that we want to keep in mind. What is zero waste? Zero waste, the ideal definition, is an absolute zero waste to landfill, zero waste burnt with nothing left to dispose of. And this is what we can someday maybe aspire to. In reality, and this is going to be a very pragmatic approach, the pragmatic definition is zero waste is a philosophy that encourages the redesign of resource life cycles so that all products are reused and that any trash sent to landfills is minimal. The process recommended is one similar to the way that resources are reused in nature. And forgive me, all of you in academia, I borrowed that from Wikipedia, which I know is not a real reliable source for most academics, but they happen to have a really good definition here, very pragmatic one. In the Grand Rapids area, we have been blessed with a number of tools that can help us to gain this goal of zero waste. We've been blessed with commercial food waste composters here in West Michigan. And I was very glad to see that here on campus, SORT is being used as well. This is a commercial food composter who takes food waste and then turns it into soil that can be used in gardening. And for those of us in the industry, in the food service industry, this is an amazing tool because the heaviest item in your dumpster is going to be your food waste. Just think about the sheer weight of food and how much of it we decide that we don't want when we take a plate, maybe particularly in a cafeteria style setting or a buffet. One thing that we could really use would be curbside compost bins. Not every one of us is going to be able to compost in our backyard. There are a number of people who live in apartment buildings where that's not feasible. And during the winter months here in Michigan, it isn't always pleasant to try and traipse through 3 foot of snow to put your scraps in the compost container outside. This image is intended to be a little funny. We had a Smurf here in Grand Rapids, a small material recovery facility. Okay, this was our initial investment here in our community. Was we had a Smurf, a small material recovery facility. Now we have a very large, a huge, in fact, single stream MRF. And you can see the picture here is of our optical scanner at Kent County's Recycling and Education Center in Grand Rapids. We have single stream bins and waste haulers offer recycling options to the outlying areas. So we're not without resources for giving our recyclables to someone who can use them again. That's the concept we're really looking for, where people start to realize that our recyclables aren't trash, they're a commodity. They're something that people want from us so that they can turn them into the products that we use every day. We have commercial recycling options throughout the greater Grand Rapids area, and there are several. These are a few that I've worked with in the past and a few that I know are very present in the downtown area. These are these are companies that you can contract with to actually come and pick up your recycling if you don't have the trucking ability to take care of it yourself. At Trotter Ministries, we recycle currently with Padnos, but we collect our own trash. We sort it into bins so that it can be baled into commodities of like substance, number one plastics with number ones, et cetera. And then we take it to Padnos, and eliminating the middleman there of doing the delivery ourselves has increased the revenue, actually, that we've been able to make. But for those of you who don't have the facilities to store it or the people to do the sorting, the commercial recycling unit is very helpful. One of the things that we could really use would be a local solution for some of the harder to recycle objects, such as soft plastics. Now, soft plastics 3 through 7 are plastics that if they're clean and they're dry, they can be recycled. Just think of the collection bins that we're beginning to see around local grocery stores. They have them just at the entrance as you come into Meijer, and even some of the other stores are starting to do the same. Those things can be recycled, and there are a number of things that fall into that category. Your bag that whole kernel popcorn comes in, things of that nature. It's all about deciding the packaging that you're going to buy something in. Is it something that's come from a recycled source? Is it something that can be recycled? This is something we could really use. If you have a commercial environment, you can find people who will take 3 through 7s from you for free, but there isn't anything that's available to the average consumer, to the person with their curbside recycling. That isn't part of the solution here in our area yet. But I think it's something that if we asked for, something that we demanded, something that we advocated for, as it indicates there at the bottom, would be something that our recyclers would be willing to give us. We could really use options. Big box store style packaging is very difficult to recycle. In Michigan, our climate obviously isn't suited to growing all of our own food year round. We have to buy things from stores. Unfortunately, a lot of the food that we buy in the big box stores comes in big boxes, packaging, stuffing. There are all kinds of things there. You might find even that something has as much as 3 wrappers on it, an individual wrapper inside of a bag, inside of a box. It's absolutely insane sometimes the number of pounds of packaging that come with the things that we buy. So limiting the amount of packaging that is there with the products that we purchase is going to be key. We don't have currently in the Grand Rapids area something like a Whole Foods market or a bulk pantry. There are a few smaller places, some have come and gone over the years, but wouldn't it be nice if you could walk into the store with your own containers and pick up a jar of peanut butter rather than having to wash that container out, which usually takes me about 10 minutes itself because it's so greasy, and then recycle that. We have a Styrofoam collection site here in West Michigan. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether or not we should be using Styrofoam at all, but Trotter Ministries has partnered with DART in order to collect recyclable Styrofoam. The Styrofoam is then turned into other Styrofoam, so again, depending on where you're coming from, your philosophy, that may be a good or a bad thing. But we can't get away from the fact that people in our community do use Styrofoam. We don't use any currently at the mission. We've eliminated it from our purchases. But there are a number of schools that count on it to make their life a little bit easier. And making our storage area available to them so that DART can come and pick that up and recycle it has been something that we looked to do for our community. So that's something that you can pass the word to anyone you know. Trotter Ministries is a collection site for DART Styrofoam. We also have a waste-to-energy facility, and again, depends on where you're coming from, what your philosophy is. We happen to have one of the newer facilities here in our town. On the east side of the state in Detroit, their waste-to-energy facility is a lot older. The technology is a lot less advanced, and the filtering systems are not what they are here. We can debate whether or not it's a good idea to burn trash. There are particulates, obviously, that get into the environment. That's something that we need to take into consideration. But at this time, It's a solution that for the short term could help us to reach our goal. And I appreciate your time.